WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow, you know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Alongside Lucas Twitch DeSangro, I am Fearon Derry, and we've got I almost feel like I should get the soft piano music and say, on a very special episode of Pro Wrestling Weekly. But I'm not going to.
Yeah, it would definitely not be wise to celebrate with cake and streamers.
Well, no, but
although it is wrestling, but not those kind of streamers.
No, this weekend we're doing an interesting retrospective as we are actually kind of right smack dab in the middle of what was a very noted and historic event in wrestling history, not included in today in wrestling history, obviously, at least not completely, as it was 10 years ago today that the rumblings of the beginnings of everything that had occurred down in Fayetteville, Georgia, exactly 10 years ago, involving what has become the Voldemort of professional wrestling, Chris Benoit, and everything going on with his double murder suicide.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, yesterday afternoon, approximately around 2:30, the Sheriff's Department received a call for a welfare check here at the Benoit residence. That call came from Mr. Benoit's employers. Apparently, he had missed some engagements earlier this weekend out of state. They became concerned for his health and well-being. The deputies arrived on scene. Once searching the house, they were able to locate 3 bodies inside of the home here. Those bodies were Mr. Benoit himself, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel. All 3 subjects were deceased. From an investigation that has taken place since that time yesterday afternoon and continued at the crime lab earlier today where autopsies were performed on all 3 subjects, we are now looking at this case and ruling it as a double homicide suicide. Evidence in the home leads us to believe that Mr. Benoit had sometime, possibly Friday, had murdered his wife by asphyxiation. Sometime shortly after that, on into early part of the weekend, the same for his son Daniel, and then maybe later on Saturday evening, sometime early Sunday, had committed suicide by hanging himself in the basement area. That is how we are ruling this case this time. We are still waiting further results from the crime lab, which will include toxicology reports. That can take up to several weeks to get all of that information back. But right now, the doctors from the crime labs have given us those rulings, and that's where we are right now at this time.
So there you go. That came out on, well, actually, it was Tuesday afternoon of June 26th of 2007. That was well after a lot of different things had been found out, and the chronology was kind of given there by the investigators down there in Georgia. But before even all of that was known, it was found out on late Sunday night, the 24th, into early Monday, the 25th, that the 3 of them had passed. And initially it was thought that it was a triple murder. And because of that reason, there was a huge tribute that essentially replaced what was the standard programming of Monday Night Raw. And for that, we have one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who did this introduction the night thereafter on the 25th of June of 2007.
We're talking that Monday?
Good evening. Tonight, this arena here in Corpus Christi, Texas, was to have been filled to capacity with enthusiastic WWE fans. Tonight's storyline was to have been the alleged demise of my character, Mr. McMahon. However, in reality, WWE superstar Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel are dead. Their bodies were discovered this afternoon in their new suburban Atlanta home. The authorities are undergoing an investigation. We here in the WWE can only offer our condolences to the extended family of Chris Benoit. And the only other thing we can do at this moment is tonight pay tribute to Chris Benoit. We'll offer you some of the most memorable moments in Chris's professional life, and you'll hear tonight comments from his peers, those here, his fellow performers, those here who loved Chris and admired him so much. So tonight will be a 3-hour tribute to one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. Tonight will be a tribute to Chris Benoit.
And it definitely was. There were a lot of recordings from different wrestlers and people backstage,
Edge,
retrospectives.
CM Punk.
Austin was, I think, part of that as well, just to name a few. And there were lots of past matches, segments from the Hard Knocks, the Chris Benoit story DVD, comments from different wrestlers and announcers from the Raw, SmackDown, and ECW brands. And yeah, it wasn't until the program was nearly over that the results that had been noted there started to come out. And the next night, prior to the ECW broadcast, oh, what a difference a day makes, as the tables had pretty much completely turned.
Last night on Monday Night Raw, the WWE presented a special tribute show, recognizing the career of Chris Benoit. However, now some 26 hours later, the facts of this horrific tragedy are now apparent. Therefore, other than my comments, there will be no mention of Mr. Benoit's name tonight.
And he would go on to say that the show was dedicated to everyone who had been affected by the terrible incident, and it marks the first step of the healing process, and that WWE performers would do what they do better than anyone else in the world, entertain you. And that was the beginning of the blacklisting, based on everything that was that had gone on. I mean, it was a very so much that had gone on. Yeah, surreal is the word.
Right word.
Yeah, I mean, as you heard from the chronology, apparently on Friday the 22nd was when Chris's wife Nancy was murdered, and then there were various voicemails and text messages. On Saturday the 23rd, fellow wrestler and close friend Chavo Guerrero received a voicemail from Benoit's phone stating that he had overslept and missed his flight and would be late for that night's house show in Beaumont, Texas, the night before the Vengeance Night of Champions pay-per-view.
Where he was scheduled to take on CM Punk for the ECW championship.
If anybody would know that, it would certainly be you, Twitch.
Well, it's yeah.
No, I know. I'm Mahoney busting here, trying to bring at least a little bit of lightness to all this here, because it's definitely a tough thing to talk about, to say the least.
I read the book Ring of Hell by, I think it was Matthew Randazzo Jr.
I believe that's correct. Yes.
It's a very great read.
That's right. I lent you that book.
Yeah, it's surrounding.
You still have it, don't you?
No, I gave it back.
Oh, you gave it back to me? All right, I'll have to look into that and make double now.
Yeah, it's something I would definitely implore everybody to read. It's not exactly shining a positive light on wrestling, but I think for any fan, it's a must read, because he talks about Benoit's journey through, childhood through, Calgary Stampede, to Mexico, to Japan, to WCW, or, both stints in WCW, WWE, and it also shines a light on what else was going on around that era, who else was, not exactly a positive influence, but it was a fascinating read, so I implore you to check that out. Sorry.
No problem. Looking at the chronology here, so Guerrero getting the voicemail, he ended up calling Benoit back as he was concerned about his tone and demeanor, and Benoit didn't answer the call, and then a little bit later Benoit called back saying he hadn't answered the call because he was on the phone with Delta Airlines changing his flight, and that he had a stressful day due to wife Nancy and son Daniel being sick from food poisoning. And Guerrero replying with, "All right, man, if you need to talk, I'm here for you." And Benoit ending the conversation by saying, "I love you, Chavo," which Guerrero thought sounded a bit off, to say the least. And then later that night, probably about 12 hours later, in the wee hours of the morning, a little before 4 a.m., there were text messages sent to different coworkers that mostly were the Benoit's address, and then one that had noted that the family's dogs were enclosed in the enclosed pool area, and that the garage side door had been left open, and that looked to have been, I guess, part of the strategic plan. As along the way, yes, the son Daniel was killed, and Benoit was found having committed suicide by hanging from the weight machine that was in their home. And the bodies were discovered on Monday, and that was where the tribute had taken place. And then after further investigation, that was where the determination was that it wasn't a triple murder, but a double murder-suicide. And I mean, a lot of one of the questions that still has propped up even now, 10 years later, is why. And
a lot of people, I think the most logical answer would be just head trauma.
And that has been suggested by a lot of people. Chris Nowinski, who is, he is led by leaps and bounds, has brought now what is a common terminology of CTE. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE for short. Yeah. And you've seen that not just in professional wrestlers, but football players, hockey players, and there's a lot of that has occurred. Tests on Benoit's brain from the West Virginia University neurosurgery department, they said that his brain was so severely damaged that at the age of 40, which is what he died at, that his brain resembled that of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient. He
had so much rotted tissue on the frontal lobe that they said that he would have been dead in 3 months anyway if he hadn't done that.
Like his body would have just given out on him. But on top of that, there were suggestions, mainly in defense, I suppose, because
the conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, well there were certainly a lot of. Some people thought that it had to do with the domestic abuse history between Chris and Nancy. Some people thought that. A lot of people thought and immediately jumped to steroids because Benoit had used steroids and
Roid rage doesn't do that though.
And that was where a lot of it was dismissed. But immediately when you see wrestler kills wife and son and then hangs himself, you immediately think, oh, it must be some sort of roid rage thing. But
anybody that's taken roids wouldn't. I know that anybody sensible that has been around steroids or knows that who's taken steroids or knows somebody who has knows that the worst roid rage would be to punch a hole in a wall.
Yeah, you would see more physical damage, whereas this was, there wasn't signs of struggle or anything of that nature.
Sickening.
WWE attorney Jerry McDevitt had noted that Benoit was prescribed testosterone as part of a testosterone replacement therapy, which is a common medical practice for those who have used steroids in the past and had suffered testicular damage. So... that was the big thing that a lot of different news media outlets.
Nancy Grace.
They immediately. Don't you get started on that again?
I'm not going any further. I'm just saying.
We're gonna leave that story alone. Just a story from young Lucas's past in terms of just learning the ropes of radio.
That's been blacklisted as well. So let's not bring it up.
Well, we're talking about this subject, and that's.
Well, this is different. This is
different.
This has nothing to do with the show.
Were you about to say this has nothing to do with the show?
This has nothing to do with my follies on the show.
Yeah, but your follies are a huge part of this show.
But the story has. Yeah. Okay. Just.
I'll leave it alone.
Skip past this part. In fact, never show this part again. To quote Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
There you go. But yes, there was a huge debate with that. A lot of different news outlets had noted it, but that ended up kind of being disproven. The toxicology reports, which had been mentioned in that initial news outlet, had noted that in Nancy's system there were 3 different medications, hydrocodone, hydromorphone, and Xanax, the first 2 of which are pain medications.
And the second one is anti-anxiety.
The latter of the 3, is an anti-anxiety and sedative, without getting too much into my pharmacy tech... putting my pharmacy tech hat on,
and I'm just trying to be
during the week here.
And I'm just trying to go, and I helped. Yeah. With the explanation.
Yes.
Not the
And there was also a very high blood alcohol level as well, but it wasn't. They weren't able to tell whether it was due to the ingestion of alcohol or the post-mortem process. Xanax was also found in the child's system as well, and Xanax and hydrocodone were in Chris Benoit's system at levels consistent with therapeutic use. So, I mean, it's just been a very, very difficult thing. But I mean, what has that led to all these years later? What is it in the aftermath? I guess is what we can talk about here.
Is wrestling what you see today? I mean, thanks to that, and also just a lot of stuff in the NFL. There's a lot more awareness of concussions. I think obviously WWE did away with the chair shots to the head, or the unprotected ones. I don't think I've ever seen a chair shot to the head in the recent recent decade.
Well, I think one of the bigger things, a lot of people have kind of led to have this has gone in this direction, but I don't know if many people have necessarily kind of put two and two together on it, in that a lot of people thought that the change to the more family-friendly PG programming had to do with Linda McMahon's senatorial aspirations. But the fact that in the years following this incident that change had occurred, there was a lot of speculation that these changeovers had occurred because of this Chris Benoit situation.
Yeah.
I mean, over the course of the next couple of years, as you mentioned, chair shots to the head were banned in WWE.
Blading was done
the
away
use
with
of
in
coarse
2008.
language, blood, adult-oriented situations were pretty much limited to non-existent.
And I think it was also because in that ruthless aggression era where it was TV-14, where it you can only do those sort of situations with TVMA to make them, I guess, good in terms of Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
To make certain adult situations, it's gone to TVMA, and but TV-14, just gets to that Family Guy really sort of level. And it's a good thing they stopped that because they don't want there's already enough with that.
Yeah, and
with Kurt Angle and Booker T, that storyline. I'm not going to say anything else. With Charmel.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Don't laugh. That was unsafe.
Oh, I know. I mean, what he said and I think what he meant were two different things, and that was kind of more of where I was.
But
chuckling
it came
at.
off as the same.
Yeah. But by the middle of 2008, the switch had occurred from a TV-14 rating to the current TV-PG rating, and Vince McMahon had discussed in 2009 with WWE Magazine at the time Benoit's legacy and saying, "It's not right to pretend that he didn't exist. It's one thing to include him as a part of a historical perspective, which I believe is okay, and it's another thing to promote him, which is not okay."
To put him in, you're not going to see Hard Knocks on WWE Network anytime soon.
Exactly. And he also goes to say, "The situation is very similar to that of O.J. Simpson, despite his controversy. O.J. was still a part of the NFL scene. You can't deny that he existed."
And that's the thing. And you just have to go through with an asterisk. Unfortunately, people try to make this whole thing of, separating the player from real life. But in certain situations, sure, like Allen Iverson, fine. I mean, he was a little bit of a jackwagon outside of the NBA, but I loved him as a player. But it's different if he had gone and killed someone. Then I can't exactly say he's my favorite player anymore because he killed someone. And unfortunately, even if it was with the brain injuries and all that other stuff, that doesn't, you're just justifying at that point. And I'm not going to say I'm guilty of it. I think a lot of us wrestling fans are, because we want to remember Benoit for the wrestler and how talented he was. But it's just, you can't do that, unfortunately.
And it does come up on occasion. I mean, you look back to, gosh, at this point, probably almost about 4.5, almost 5 years ago, you saw a situation similar in the NFL where a linebacker, Javon Belcher, I believe his name was, a Kansas City Chiefs linebacker, had murdered his girlfriend and then took his own life at the Chiefs training facility near Arrowhead Stadium. And
God, I remember
there were
that.
there are circumstances surrounding that murder-suicide. People immediately jumped to the Benoit situation for comparison.
My cousin was, for a while, he was like the head of the drum line for the Chiefs, and that was just surreal that day as well, and just the day surrounding that.
Yeah, and apparently it hasn't. It's been talked about for about 5 years now, but a biopic Crossface that has been in development.
It's also being helped by Matthew Randazzo Jr., the guy who wrote the book.
Ring of Hell, the story of Chris Benoit and the fall of the pro wrestling industry, which I'd like to think that it's rebounded nicely, but this was a huge black eye at the time.
This was a very dark time. Wrestling was just it took a lot to recover from that, I feel like. More than, I realize it now, looking back on it now, holy crap, yeah, I think it did take a lot to recover that, because you had to have that transition. And McMahon was very very set on having it being TV PG. There was a story of Batista and Chris Jericho in their cage match for the world title, and they both bladed, and he gave them like a ludicrous fine for it to get the message straight of like, we're not doing this.
We're not going there. And there have been some lighter moments that have come from it, or at least attempts at it. That's a couple of months after this all had gone down, the Comedy Central roast of Flava Flav.
Oh, that was the roast. That's what I suspect.
Now better known as the late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. I think back then, he was after the Man Show. He was, I think he was still transitioning into the position that he's in now.
I believe he was also dating Sarah Silverman at the time still.
Very possibly, but on that roast, he joked to honoree Flavor Flav that Chris Benoit is a better father than Flavor Flav, which drew
a shocked, I missed that.
Appalled response and laughs from the crowd.
Dude, I missed that. Oh my, they must have that must have been a post edit, because the last roast they had, they put up all the roasts on Comedy Central.
And they left that. They took that joke out.
I'm sure they cut that out. Oh my god. I'm a little bit.
You're a little disheartened.
I'm a little bit like peed off that they cut that out. Because that would have been a great. I would have been, because I'm.
Well, you would have cracked up at it, but I think the majority of people would have. Maybe at that point they thought. Well, even now, I guess they thought too soon.
Dude,
but,
I would have.
Or maybe just in poor taste. I don't know.
It's probably better that I didn't, though, because whenever I'm watching Comedy Central, it's usually in the morning, I'm having breakfast, I would have spit cornflakes all over the coffee table if that was the case.
Oh, man.
Well, not cornflakes. I'm not, psychopath, but bland cereal.
Do you realize the things you say when you say them sometimes?
You know what? Yeah, and part of that filter, like I try to keep that filter unbalanced, in check, but at the same time, it slips through, and I don't really care.
Well, all right. Well, while Twitchy over here cracked corn and continues to not care, we're going to take care of our first time out here.
Okay, really, we're going to reference that song?
Well, you mentioned Angle earlier. That was his little mini guitar thing.
Yeah, but the backstory to that song is just... We want to stay on the air, Fearon.
Well, that's why I said Twitchy. Never mind. We'll come on to the other side here. We've got Ed from Northeast Philly. He's going to give us a look at the local scene. We've got the Money in the Bank results. We'll talk about that and everything that fall out from that. A couple of our stories that I'd forgotten last week due to my incompetence or just because time ran out. A lot more news and notes and whatnot, and some
probably
various...
more my incompetence than anything.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, bookmark it.
And also, I've got to let you know about our friends over at George's Cards and Collectibles. They've got more signings coming your way, coming up on Saturday, July 8th. That is 2 weeks from today. Man, time's just flying by. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., former WWE stars King Kong Bundy and one half of the Vaudevillains, formerly known as Simon Gotch. They will both be at the George's at the Neshaminy Mall location. One of two locations for all of your cards and collectibles needs. The other being their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown. And of course, that Neshaminy Mall location in the movie theater wing. For more information, go to georgescollectibles.com and follow George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook. So we ran really long here, so we're going to take a quick break, come back, and we've got a couple of much shorter segments to plow through here.
Like we do best.
Exactly. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Bristol Riverside Theater kicks off their 2017 Summer Music Fest with Rosemary Clooney and Friends, Come On at My House, June 15th through the 25th. Known as the Golden Age of Pop, the 1950s gave a whole new meaning to the term girl power. You'll be dancing in the aisles in the pop music of the 50s with songs from Doris Day, Patti Page, K-Star, Teresa Brewer, and of course Rosemary Clooney, just to name a few. For tickets, visit brtstage.org or call 215-785-0100.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, and we're kicking off another summer of shellfish. We have seafood specials every day of the week. On Saturdays, we have the biggest crab feast you have ever seen. It's a pound of snow crab, Dungeness crab, 3 hard shells, and our own special crabby corn, and it's delicious. On Sunday, check out our new seafood sauté. Clams, mussels, shrimp, lobster in our own homemade sauce. Visit chickyandpete's.com for your summer of shellfish calendar and detail.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
Take a stand.
Take a stand.
Take a stand.
Like my brother did, when he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Like my wife did, when she asked the right questions.
Like my friend did, when she made the call.
You stood by us when we were in uniform, so stand by us now.
Take a stand for those who served our country.
If you're a veteran in crisis or know one who is, the confidential Veterans Crisis Line is here for you. Call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. Chat at veteranscrisisline.net or text 838-255.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
See, I just got the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so we might have
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
You're breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. Gonna break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro here, talking all kinds of things wrestling. Had a bit of a long first segment there as we were looking back to 10 years ago today with the Chris Benoit stuff, and I don't know, I thought it was an interesting retrospective, kind of nice to every once in a while look back as we tend to do, but now we can go ahead and look forward, and what better way to do that than looking forward at the local scene of what all's going on here, and who better to do that than our own local correspondent, Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon. AJ Styles is going to be at I Play America in Freehold, July 22nd, from 11 to 1.
Oh, man.
Autograph signing.
Well, I can guarantee that I definitely won't be able to make it there that day, but more news on that coming up in a little bit. You know what that's about, Lucas.
Oh, the 22nd.
Yeah, there we go. But it's good. It's a good thing, so but that's all right. Life is full of choices.
Let's hope we make the good ones.
It was spelled on tonight on pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's, man, where's the time going?
What is it tonight?
MMA, mixed martial arts.
Oh, yeah. Okay, proceed.
Sort of wrestling. Sort of wrestling.
There's some crossover with it.
Oh, you
absolutely.
mean people give each other beat each other senseless for real for a belt and give each other concussions? It sounds.
It's still real to me.
Starts at 7:30.
All right, that should yeah. For those who are, I'll admit I'm not exactly the biggest MMA guy either.
I enjoy it at times. It's just I haven't enjoyed it as of late.
What else we got, Ed?
KCW crossing borders tomorrow afternoon for 3 p.m. bell time in Norristown.
Okay, that's the Keystone Championship Wrestling. That's right.
Yeah, Keystone. Game Changers is 6 o'clock tonight in Allentown. Nick Gage, Matt Tremont, Homicide, Eddie Kingston, Velvet Sky, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
That's not a bad lineup.
Not at all.
Oh, and Angelina's in Love, too. I forgot to mention her name.
Certainly can't go wrong there.
7 years ago was the great Trent Acid passed away from the Northeast.
Yes.
Yeah,
very, very noted here in the local community. It was this past Sunday marked the anniversary of that. It was June 18th of 2010. From unfortunately we don't see too many of them anymore, but in this case, an unfortunate drug overdose.
That's a shame. All the good ones are passing away early.
Yeah.
Like Dusty. Dusty wasn't actually young.
Well, I mean, in a way, he was. I mean, it's a very, I don't know. It's kind of you look at it and you think, well, he was 60s, but no. I mean, he
60s
69. Yeah, I mean, he was almost 70, which I don't know. I like to think I kind of take the comedian Lewis Black's mind frame on that the good die young and live forever. And we lost Lucas. I think he just lost some of those cornflakes.
I'm not a psychopath. I just said that.
Okay, fine. Frosted Flakes.
Thank you.
Anyway, not minding him. I was
gonna say, what are you expecting me to do? The tagline too? Like,
Madison Square Garden has WWE July 7th. They have a good lineup. It looks like.
Well, they usually do for those MSG shows.
It's a super card. They treat it like Mania.
Sheamus and Cesaro against the Hardys. Goldust and R-Truth. And Rollins and Samoa Joe.
Not bad at all. Certainly looking forward to that, and we're about a month away from Battleground here in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we actually have a bit of a break here, at least a brief break in terms of the pay-per-views, and then we've got Slammiversary next week, and goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire the week after that.
And what's up with Reby Hardy? I heard some rumors about her.
Well, as far as I know, she's still on Twitter talking about the owl.
And on maternity leave, I would think. Didn't they just have their second...
I haven't looked that deeply into it, in all honesty. I'm sure we'll hear more about it if, I don't believe so, though. I can certainly, try to get a little bit more on it, but,
That's about it.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for the look at the local scene, Ed. Always appreciate it. And let's... Actually, yeah, we're right about that. I was going to say, we'll make this the short segment and try to get things back to something kind of straight and narrow here for the third segment, at least as best as I can here. And yeah, as soon as I say that, of course, with this that I've got to mention, it's going to go right off kilter again here, as things are getting interesting tonight at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA, where tonight is the return of Kinky Quizzo. Ah, yes. Plus on tap is Diane, a cold-pressed coffee stout, which is, I must say, a damn fine cup of coffee stout. Note that tomorrow the Goblet is closed for the Band of Brewers as the staff of the Broken Goblet defend their title at World Cafe Live in a battle of the bands against other breweries, including Vault, Yards, Iron Hill, Trogs, and more, That's right.
Vault,
they won
as in the Vault and Yardley?
Yeah, Vault Brewery. It's been going on for the past, I think, 5 years. I believe this is the 6th year of it. The Broken Goblet had entered for the first time last year and won the whole thing. And if you've been to the Goblet, you've seen the trophy, which is a guitar fixed upon a pedestal upon a keg. Very nicely done. And they're looking to defend that tomorrow.
Beautiful.
So for that reason, since the majority of the staff are in the band, they will all be down at the World Cafe Live, so the building won't be open. So if you have growlers to fill, bottles to get, today would definitely be the day to do it. And if you're not a fan of Kinky Quizzo, you'll definitely want to go early.
Because it's going to get kinky.
Yes. Also, it has been announced, monsoon or shine. And man, did we have a monsoon this morning. Saturday, July 15th from 3 to 8 p.m., it's the anniversary party known as Goblet Stock. Over 25 beers, food trucks, live music, plus it's free to attend.
Yay!
And the Broken Goblet has expanded their hours. That's right. The Goblet is now open Tuesdays from 5 to 11 p.m., same with Wednesdays and Thursdays. Fridays are still 3 to midnight, Saturdays are still noon to midnight, and Sundays are now noon to 8 p.m., as opposed to 5 previously. And just made official a couple of days ago, this is what I was alluding to earlier, coming up on Saturday, July 22nd, Pro Wrestling Weekly will be broadcasting live from the Broken Goblet Brewery for a special Brews and Body Slams edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Come on out, enjoy food, drink, conversation about wrestling, and more. Just a litany of reasons why it's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Please enjoy responsibly. Coming back, we got news and notes. We'll talk Money in the Bank. We got birthdays. We got Today in Wrestling History. A host more to do. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Phillies fans, if you want to get inside the game, inside the team, and inside the strategy, then we've got you covered. Tune into the Baseball Insiders presented by SEPTA every Sunday following Phillies baseball. Former Phillies All-Stars Ricky Vitaligo and Tommy Green join host Phillies Director of Fun and Games John Brazier to recap all the action and look ahead to what's coming up for the Fightin' Phils. The Baseball Insiders presented by SEPTA right here on 1490 WBCB and video stream live at WBCB1490.com.
The Trenton Thunder, AA affiliate of the New York Yankees, are back for their 24th season of play on the banks of the Delaware River at Arm & Hammer Park. Join us for Super Value Tuesdays, where kids eat for free and all fans can purchase $1 hot dogs. Join us after the game for fireworks on select Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights throughout the summer. Tickets start at just $11, and groups of 20 or more can get tickets for $8 each. Visit TrentonThunder.com for more information.
Schedule a retirement planning strategy session with TFG Wealth Management. Mark Freed previews his technology others don't have access to and methods other professionals don't consider. Mark's maximum planning process takes you to and through a successful retirement. Call 866-296-8156. Mark Freed at TFG Wealth Management. That's 866-296-8156.
Investment advisory services are offered by TFG Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Pennsylvania. Insurance products and services are offered through the Freed Group. TFG Wealth Management, LLC, and the Freed Group are affiliated companies.
Looking for a new place to watch the Phillies play? Skip the stadium traffic and head on over to the Bluebell Inn in Montgomery County for food and drink specials during Phillies home games. Cheer on the Phils as you snack on Texas Tommies and enjoy $3 Stella and Miller Lite drafts. Visit BluebellInn.com or call 215-646-2010 for more information. Come experience the new Bluebell Inn.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, June 24. On this date in 1994, ECW held its Hostile City Showdown Supercard. In the main event, Sabu pinned Cactus Jack. On this date in 1996, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Charlotte, North Carolina. In the main event, Harlem Heat defeated the Steiner Brothers and Lex Luger and Sting in a triangle tag match to win the WCW World Tag Team Championship. On this date in 2001, the WWF held its King of the Ring pay-per-view. In the main event, Steve Austin defeated Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho in a triple threat match to retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2007, WWE held its Vengeance Night of Champions pay-per-view. In the main event, John Cena defeated Bobby Lashley, King Booker, Mick Foley, and Randy Orton in a 5-pack challenge match to retain the WWE Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, June 24. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon and Lucas DeSangro here with you, and a lot to get into. Money in the Bank had bested you by one pick this time around, as the only one that I had missed, which we both missed on, was the New Day winning by countout. So the Usos retain the tag titles.
I was going to say, that should still count for us. They still retained. Or at least we should get a half point if they were. I hate those
I'm not
dusty
doing
finishes.
half points.
I hate the dusty finishes. They always screw with the results of our predictions. Plus, that one time where I thought Ambrose won the title, that killed me.
I remember that.
We were all sitting there.
We were at the factory, right?
No.
This was
It was like Elimination Chamber. We were at Brett's house.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
okay.
This makes sense, and we all start laughing, like, oh, maybe it does. And then the ref starts talking, and my heart broke again.
Oh, yes, that one. Sorry, I lose track of your different
Ambrose actually
emotional
won the title at
emotional meltdowns in various emotional markouts.
Well, I was
guess.
gonna say because meltdowns don't always happen with wrestling, so.
Okay, we'll leave that cry for help alone.
Please.
But
Please do.
Zach and Mojo beating the Colognes in the pre-show match. We got that right. Carmella winning the women's ladder match. We got that right. We mentioned the New Day and the Usos. Naomi beating Lana to retain the SmackDown Women's title. We got that right. Jinder beating Randy Orton to retain the WWE Championship in Randy's hometown of St. Louis.
I was gonna say, can we just talk
with
about
his father.
Can I just say how I loved because it was like him, it was Bob Orton, Dory Funk, I think was there too, or
yeah, there were Jr.? Flair was there. I mean, it was all the like St. Louis.
He puts on a figure four, then he puts on a spinning toe hold, and what I love about the heel heat is he goes up and puts him up for a superplex and looks over and goes, "This one's for you, Bob," and I just sat there going, "Yes," because Bob Orton made that move famous, which JBL put over afterwards. But like it was just. My talks with Frank Ciola, one of my old English teacher, he was the one that first told me about that. That was Bob Orton's signature move. He made that move famous. So when he did that, I just couldn't help but smile. Yeah, that's good. I saw what he did.
Yeah, it was a nice little Father's Day thing that they went for there, and very nicely done. A match that was kind of added on last minute. Tyler Breeze and Fandango beating the Ascension.
Let's just give ourselves a point.
I just put not applicable because we didn't have a prediction ahead of time for it. And Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that one. I had either Owens or Zayn, and I knew I shouldn't have picked Zayn because he never.
Yeah, I don't know why I just had this strange hunch about Corbin as a dark horse.
You picked Corbin.
I did pick Corbin.
You dirty rat.
Yeah, I know. I'm a dirty. Yeah. Okay.
That's not what I said.
Well, you trailed off, so I just filled in the blank.
Well, you dirty rat. It's like a bit.
I know. Yeah, I know. You dirty rat. Yeah, okay. So, 5-1 for me, 4-2 for you. You're still doing very well, 32-21 for the year. I'm at a 37-17, besting you.
As always.
Yeah, I don't know about always. I mean...
I'm putting you over. Stop.
Yeah, all right, fine, whatever. Something like that.
Rabble,
exactly.
Rabble.
Anyway, yeah, so, okay, I'm just looking at my math here. So 1, 4, 2, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot to tally one of you. So you're 32-22. That's where I'm like, wait, the math isn't adding up here. Why is there an uneven... That's what I get for doing this on about an hour and 45 minutes of sleep. All right, I'll make that correction later. I'll make note of it. All right, to news and notes, because we've only got about 10 minutes or so. First, the stuff that we missed from last week. Yeah, I know. It's amazing how time flies, right?
No, I'm saying that's a first where we look at the clock and go, oh, we actually have 10 minutes left. Usually we have 30 seconds left now.
Well, that's because I made sure you didn't get your shtick in. The Bellator MMA group announcing that Mauro Ranallo will be joining their broadcast team starting with their June 24th event, which would be tonight, which was alluded to by Ed from Northeast Philly. Ranallo signed a multi-event broadcast agreement, and they also added the signing of former UFC voice Mike Goldberg in the same press release. Goldberg was approached by WWE back in 2005 to be the lead voice of Raw. So that's certainly interesting. Also, last week, Impact Wrestling issuing a statement regarding an upcoming tribute that'll be in the beginning of July. As the world remembers the tragedy at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida on June 12th of 2016, Impact Wrestling stands alongside the survivors and honors the 49 victims of the shooting. And for more than the past 15, or most of the past 15 years, Impact Wrestling has called Orlando its home arena. And, well, what they will be doing is the next Monday that Impact Wrestling is in Orlando, that'll be July 3rd, the company will have a special ceremony to honor all of those impacted by the tragedy, which directly impacted the LGBTQ, the Latinx, and other communities of color. Impact Wrestling remembers the victims and those impacted by the Pulse nightclub tragedy. So nice little bit that they're doing there. Nice little tribute. Good to see that they're showing some love and props for that. And in another interesting story to say the least, this one from the
Brother's got needs
department. Samantha Rotunda has filed for divorce from WWE star Bray Wyatt in Florida. Samantha's lawyer, Ray Raffoul, telling the UK Daily Mail that he had obtained phone records showing that Wyatt is maintaining, quote, continuous contact, end quote, with WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman. Meanwhile, Wyatt's attorney, Jim Knox, provided the following statement to the Daily Mail. As you know, these cases involve the private lives of the participants and sometimes unpleasant disputes. I would ask that you respect the privacy of both litigants in this matter, and I have no other comments to make. Now, if the name Ray Raffoul sounds familiar, it's because he's the same high-powered divorce attorney who represented Linda Hogan in her divorce from Hulk, as well as representing Alberto El Patron's former wife during their separation.
He knows how to get a good deal.
You are right about that. And now to some new stuff for this week. Going back to Mauro Ranallo, it is announced that he will remain with WWE and begin work as an NXT commentator.
Yeah.
Ranallo writing on his Instagram page, WWE and I mutually agreed to end my responsibilities on SmackDown, having nothing to do with rumors about disputes. As I remained under contract with WWE, we discussed a variety of options. Despite originally agreeing to part ways, there was always a desire to continue working together. We have come to terms on a new agreement that benefits both WWE and me, and I am thrilled to announce I will now be a part of the NXT broadcasting team.
Yeah, I think that's a lot better of a move because... yeah, people jumped to JBL right away, and that's not exactly the right thing to do. And also, I think it works with his schedule because he suffers from depression and bipolar, I believe.
Mm-hmm, bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and that works well with the schedule because he really only has to do maybe one live event every about 4 or 5 times a year, and then he does the tapings, which happen around once every month or every other month. And also, that happened last night, and a lot of other notable things happened last night in the wrestling world. Bobby Fish, of all people, showed up at NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a new Ring of Honor World Champion.
Cody, yes.
Your boy. Well, he can't be a boy.
No, he can't, exactly. He's out of the boys' stable now.
Darn it, but it's a bittersweet moment.
It is. No, it's a very cool thing. Congratulations to Cody Runnels. That's, I guess, since they don't want to say Cody Rhodes on TV. I mean, we can,
just
but
Cody.
Yeah, just Cody at this point. But yeah, congrats to him beating Christopher Daniels at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view last night.
Which was also bittersweet because I really was happy for Daniels when he won the title, and now it's like, all right.
I know, from one guy you like to another guy that you like. Or at least one guy you respect to another guy you respect. I don't know.
I know. I like Christopher Daniels. His, it's one of those things, I'm older and able to appreciate wrestlers not just at face value, no pun intended. No, seriously, I just realized.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. No, but
I know. I see what you didn't mean to do there.
Yeah. And it's, I just, the story they told leading up to that match was great. I would just wish they'll tell, I can't exactly complain. I just, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'm satisfied with the entire situation.
Well, speaking of complaining, just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder in the back and forth between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo.
Oh, boy.
It was announced this past week that Russo filed an order for protection against Cornette. Essentially a restraining order.
Oh, yeah, no. And you know what? I saw the thing they posted on Twitter. You know what the thing that was checked off for? Reasoning was apparently stalking. Well, I don't know I don't know how bashing somebody on a podcast or a show can be considered stalking. If that's the case, then I guess I do have a restraining order filed against me from Nancy Grace.
Oh, wow, okay. You can talk about it, but I can't. I got you.
No, I didn't feel good about that one either. I'm going to go the Jim Norton route.
There you go.
I'm going to shut up.
Yes, Russo filed the paperwork in Indiana and indicated that he has been a victim of stalking. And I wonder if that has anything to do with the noted challenges of, just pick what was it?
No knives, no guns.
Yeah, no knives,
cops.
no guns, no cops.
No,
pick
and don't publicize
a time, a date, and an address.
And nobody
whatever
else needs
happens,
to know
happens.
But of course, they're going to find out what happens when you don't show up no place anymore. They'll know I whipped you.
Well, Cornette tweeted out the page of a page of this order for protection, which was filed on June 16th, 8 days ago.
Well, golly, Miss Molly Penny-Roo filed a restraining order up against me, and
Well, actually, you're not too far off. His tweet said, quote, "Golly, Voldemort just filed an emergency protective order." Yeah, Voldermort.
Jesus!
Golly, Voldemort just filed an emergency protective order on me. I can't hang out with him anymore.
And you just read it in that...
Yeah, just enough of a...
that biting sarcasm.
I need helium to get my voice up to where Jim Cornette's is.
Or you just need me. Down in Louisville. Not Louisville.
Louisville.
I love it when he says that. Louisville. And OVW.
Yeah. Except, you could even stand to go higher on that to match where his voice is.
I don't think so. I think in his older age, his voice has gotten a little bit deeper.
A little bit.
It's like, it just happens, There's hope for me yet. I'll maybe have your tone of voice when I'm 90. The way how high my voice is.
Well, it's come a long way over the course of the last 4 years. Do I need to go to the archives here?
I'll take your word for it, but you can if you want. They need a reference, I guess.
No, I think people have gotten enough references on that. Well, okay, maybe one more wouldn't hurt. I just have to figure out where's a good one here.
Burning daylight, 3 minutes left.
Oh, stop it. You know what? Just for that.
I'm like Catwoman. I'm adaptable.
Oh, wow.
Don't compare yourself to Catwoman.
You mean the same drop played last week? Yeah.
Wow.
I know I'm a mess.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Something new.
Good job. The number of women announced for the Mae Young Classic Women's Tournament has increased to 9. Joining the 4 previously announced include 5 new names. Tessa Blanchard, daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Tully Blanchard.
Of course.
Abby Lath, who worked as Kimber Lee prior to signing with WWE. Tainara Conti, a 22-year-old developmental wrestler with an MMA background. Jazzy Gabert, a judo black belt who has been training at the WWE Performance Center since October. And Kavita Devi, a former powerlifter who was a student of the Great Khali. They join Toni Storm, Lacey Evans, Sarah Logan, and Princessa Sughit among the field of 32. 23 names still have to be announced.
I was going to say, when are they going to announce the next batch?
There's time. Patience, young grasshopper.
I want to be able to say the lady's catchphrase when she gets announced.
Ah, sweet mercy.
It's
All
my
right.
favorite.
We got a minute left. It's time for...
Birthdays!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, on this date in 1958, Thomas Lister Jr. was born. The actor and wrestler known in WCW as Z Gangsta and best known in the WWF as Zeus, the Human Wrecking Machine, also featured in the wrestling movie No Holds Barred, turns 59 today.
Z Gangsta.
You might also remember him from the Friday movies as well. On this date in 1978, Adam Pearce was born.
Ooh!
The former 5-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion and current trainer at the WWE Performance Center turns 39 today.
Also former. Well, I thought he was part of the creative team. Adam Pearce. Him and Jimmy Jacobs.
I think he dabbles in that a little bit as well.
Also former PWG World Champion.
Tick, tick, tick. And the Brucey
hey,
bonus.
I have a disease, all right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that too. We won't ask how that happened.
Yep.
The Brucey bonus, something outside of the world of wrestling, and you could argue, being the with your What Bar t-shirt, that this is slightly inside of it. On this date in 1987, Lionel Andres Messi was born. The Argentinian soccer player, widely regarded as the best player in the world and one of the greatest soccer players of all time, winning 8 La Liga titles with Barcelona and winning an Olympic gold medal in 2008 for Argentina, turns the big 3-0 today. How did I know? I knew you were going to perk up at that as soon as I said Messi. Messi, Pele, Rooney, Narcissus. There we go.
Yes, I forgot Rooney.
OSWreview.com. Yeah, check it out. All right. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week with more stuff. Until then, play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WBCB.